there was three guys essentially. It was the guys from Pardon My Take, and I don't know if you guys have watched it before, but so one guy was basically talking about how he's heavily leveraged in Doge. They were talking about Saquon Barkley's contract, where he took half his salary in Bitcoin a couple years ago. He's like the number one NFL player right now. Is Saquon Barkley. He plays for the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl with him last year. So they're saying, yeah, obviously, because there was an interviewer with a crypto company. I think it was Coinbase. Maybe they were interviewing Saquon about it. And they're like, do you wish you would have taken the full salary in Bitcoin? And he's like, well, yeah, but it depends too. Cause if he was 100% in Bitcoin at the time, since his contract, he said he would have had a lot more stress in his life if he was fully 100% in Bitcoin, which makes a lot of sense. Right. So they were talking about him and he's like, of course it's gone up 7x since he signed the contract. And so the other guy's like, so they started talking about, are you invested in Bitcoin? The guy's like, I'm heavily leveraged in Doge.
What?
And and the other guy's like, I got some Bitcoin. I've actually been buying every month for the last 4 years. My brother told me to do it at Christmas, like 4 years ago. And so I've been buying it. And they were talking to him, and like their response to that was like, basically this guy walks on water because he's been buying Bitcoin just like every month for the last 4 years. And I was just like, that's the biggest disconnect, I think, right now between the average person. Cause I like to think about the Barstool guys as like your average person, how they think with sports and with investing and stuff like that. That's a disconnect, is like everybody thinks that they missed the boat, or they think that they have to sell everything and buy Bitcoin just to get a decent sized position. But literally all you have to do is just buy some and then just keep buying it every month. Like it's really not that complicated, but people are just missing that.
I was telling you, remember I was telling you one day about like sports betting and stuff, and how like there's people who like the people sports bet because they want chaos, right? They want some kind of volatility in their life. And that's what the Barstool Sports the guys are like, right?
Yeah.
So if you just buy Bitcoin, let's say you buy one Bitcoin, you have it in your wallet, you bury it in the ground, it has one Bitcoin in it, that wallet, you're going to always have one Bitcoin, no matter what happens. Like if you go back to it, it has one Bitcoin in it. There's no way to change that, right? Unless you add more, you take some out. But if you just bury it in the ground, you don't touch it, it's always going to be one Bitcoin. On the other hand, with sports betting, people like that the nominal dollar value that they have keeps increasing. Or I mean, for most people it decreases, but they like the possibility of it increasing. They don't want steady growth. What they want is immediate growth. Like they want I used to sports bet a little bit, and I was terrible at it because I didn't watch sports, right? I was just trying to do it for the money, right? So I was really bad at it. But the way that I saw it is it was almost like a bet that you can make, and you can make money in a few minutes, versus like with Bitcoin, it's like a bet that you can make for the rest of your life. And that bet keeps accumulating and accumulating. But people don't want that. They want the Dogecoin, because the Dogecoin is going to potentially explode in the short term, while Bitcoin can't do that at this point. At least that's what they believe. I think it's the opposite, though. I think Bitcoin can explode upward in the short term when people finally figure out what it is. And Dogecoin could implode. It could go to like $0.00001 if enough people figure out that it's not what they think it is.
Or 0.00001 Bitcoin, more importantly. It might keep going up in fiat terms, but Bitcoin.
Yeah, it'll keep going down. Yeah.
People want like people want instant results, whether it's to the downside or to the upside. They want to know like where they are immediately. Like that's the thing with sports betting, right? Like it's you make a bunch of bets right before the game. The longest you're going to hold this position, which it is like a position, a bet, is like couple hours, right? The length of the game. You're going to know whether you
time preference.
Yeah, whether you've made a bunch of money or whether you've lost, And then with Bitcoin, it's like what you were saying there, Jor, where it's like all you have to do is just buy a bit of Bitcoin over and over and over time. And it's like that is the most boring thing to somebody with high time preference. And you go even further down, there's people that are still just like making content or talking about just investing in the S&P 500. It's like when I first got into investing, that was too boring for me. I wanted to trade stocks. I wanted to buy some tech and whatever, right? And it's like, so I kind of understand where people are coming from. Like the boring thing that works is too boring for people. It's too simple. People want to make it more complex, but it's like, you look at the, another Barstool Sports guy, Dave Portnoy, like he's like, oh, I wish that I just bought in Bitcoin. Like I did all this trading every day doing this trading show, and I could have just bought in Bitcoin and outperformed. And it's like, yeah, that's it. Like you don't have to overcomplicate it, like it's really that simple. You just buy Bitcoin.
I think most people just like that the results, potential positive results of gambling.
Or negative, though. That's what Forrest said, that I was like, absolutely. Like, I really feel like there's a lot of people out there who would rather lose money in 2 hours than make money over 2 decades.
100%. Because they know where they stand immediately.
Yeah. But that's the whole disconnect here, is that people see Bitcoin as something like a gamble, something like a get rich kind of thing, like a sports bet almost, but it's not. I think that if people like that who are still kind of stuck in that high time preference world, if they understood what Bitcoin was, then they could put some into Bitcoin. They could also do sports. It's not one or the other. So you could have that low time preference Bitcoin, but still play like the immediate results kind of thing. It's not one or the other. You can do both, but just make sure that you have some position for the long term.
I think that's why framing Bitcoin as like a savings tool, as a savings technology, like literally as a savings account, is so like key. I think once that clicks for people, then it's just like, oh, I just set it and forget it. I just buy a bunch, hold it, and then anything else I do beyond buying Bitcoin is either gambling, investing, spending. Like it's just completely separate. Like Bitcoin is its own thing. It's, if you just treat it as a savings account, that's the best way, in my opinion, for the vast majority of people to treat Bitcoin.
Yeah, I agree. Just like if you have extra fiat, you just buy Bitcoin. If you have less fiat than you need, either you sell some Bitcoin, or you can borrow some of your Bitcoin against your Bitcoin. You can use your credit card, do whatever you can. But the goal here is that every time period, you should have more Bitcoin. At least in your stacking phase, right? In your stacking phase, you should be buying more and more every single year, every single month, every day, however you do it. Doesn't matter how you do it. People ask me, oh, is it better to dollar cost average daily or weekly? When they're not dollar cost averaging at all. You don't need to find the best way to do it. Just start doing it. Like if you go to the gym, you don't need to go and do 4-hour workouts. Just go for 20 minutes a day for 15 days a month.
Yeah, it's about starting. You can optimize later. Like it's what we're doing here with all this content. It's like, like we can't make content every day of just saying what we've just said. Like just buy Bitcoin. It's that simple. Like that's a 2-second video, right? Yeah. We're optimizing beyond that, but the vast majority of people aren't even doing that first step of just buying every week or every month. Again, like you just said, it doesn't matter if it's dollar cost average every day. It's just when you have some extra money, you put it in Bitcoin. Then you can optimize. Then you can, Jor, you had a great video about when is the best day to buy Bitcoin historically. Turns out it's Monday. The second best is Friday, right? It's like these are tiny things that become important after you've already made that initial step of just buying Bitcoin.
Most people have zero and they'll try to optimize to get to the best amount when they haven't even started. Just like, even if you buy, okay, so one thing I get a lot is people ask me, oh, should I dollar cost average or should I lump sum? Either way, you have no idea what's going to happen in the future, right? So for all we know, if I tell you to dollar cost average and then Bitcoin's price starts going up, you're going to get a lot less Bitcoin. But if I tell you to lump sum, then Bitcoin's price starts coming down, you're going to get a lot less Bitcoin, right? Either way, you have to make your own decision. But let's say you dollar cost average over the next 5 years and you buy $100 worth of Bitcoin every week, every month, every day, whatever you can afford, right? The point here is that you ignore the short-term volatility. You embrace the short-term volatility. If anything, if there's short-term volatility, you should be happy, because if the price goes down, you can buy more. Your purchasing power goes up. People get very worried after they buy Bitcoin and then the price goes down. Instead of thinking that I could buy more and just bring my average price down, they think, oh, I wasn't able to buy as much Bitcoin as I could. Like if I had thought that, I think one of the things that has helped all of us, like I'm sure that did you guys buy any Bitcoin at the bottom after FTX collapsed?
Yes.
And Jor, I know you bought some Bitcoin at the very last top.
Yep.
Right. So the way that people think is I only want to buy the bottoms. But the only way for you to buy the bottom is if you also buy the top. If you try to time the bottom and the Bitcoin price goes to that bottom price, you're not going to end up buying. It's like when Bitcoin. So I had this. I think it was it was a client. So he wanted to buy. He had $150,000 on the sidelines, and he wanted to buy Bitcoin. He wanted it to dip. When the price went down to 75K, he didn't buy because he thought it was going to go even lower. This was him telling me what he thought. Right? He thought it was going to go lower. So he thought, oh, instead of buying 2 Bitcoin, I'll buy 2.5. And now, because he didn't pull the trigger at 75K, he didn't pull the trigger at 80, 85, 90, 95, 100. Now it's at 120K. Now he can barely even get 1.5.
Yeah. Yeah. He'll be getting 1 Bitcoin instead of the 2 that he could have gotten. Right?
Yeah.
It's, you got to pull the trigger. And, I was buying when it was all the way, end of 2022, like literally the bottom, but I wasn't convinced it was the bottom either, but I was still buying because I didn't know, and I would have been great to have bought more, but I was just continuing to buy even as it was going up. And, the whole time I'm like, am I buying a top here? It's 30 grand. Am I buying a top? I don't know. Should I tell people to buy? People are asking me to buy. I don't know. I mean, it's higher than it's been lately. So I don't know if you should, but it's, 4x since then.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing for me. I get the same question all the time. I think all three of us do, is like, should I lump sum or DCA? And I've just pretty much been telling people, because of where we are right now, because it's summertime, before I think we're going to have the biggest run up in Bitcoin's history, probably in any financial market history before this fall into 2026, because I know where we are in the cycle, because I'm, tuned into what's happening. I just say, like, take whatever you have. If you have some savings, if you have to sell some stuff, just take whatever you can get today and just lump some into Bitcoin. Don't overthink it. A Monday, Friday, any day. Just as soon as you have it, do it. You're never going to regret that decision ever, because even if it is the top right now, it's not going to be the top for very much longer. On the flip side of that, if people are waiting and trying to time this thing, and all of a sudden something happens where Bitcoin makes one of its big moves, which it has done historically, you're going to be sitting there and you're going to miss that. And that train's never coming back. You're never going to catch that again. And so I heard somebody say this the other day. It was like, the first cycle, you lose. The second cycle, you do pretty good. And then the third cycle, you're laughing. And I feel like that's so accurate, because you learn these different things. You learn what's probably going to come. I mean, you never have a crystal ball. You don't know for sure, but you're much more in sync and in tune with these things like this. So if somebody's just brand new to Bitcoin, it's impossible to time anything. It's impossible to know what's right, what's wrong. It's just like, just buy what you can and then just DCA from there. Lump sum into it, keep studying, keep buying. You cannot lose with that strategy.
I think the caveat there is to just have a long enough time horizon as well, right? Like, you can lose if you lump sum, it dips, and then you freak out and sell it. Like, but if you have a 4-year time horizon minimum, you're absolutely laughing. And again, if Bitcoin is going to 100,000, which it is, and it has, it's going to 1 million. And if it's going to 1 million, what's stopping it from going to 10 million, right? It's denominated in fiat, which is getting debased at a rapid rate. Every single year, more and more fiat is getting printed, proportionate to the previous years. So this is a runaway train, right? And nothing stops it. So, as long as we're pricing it in fiat, it's going higher.
100%. I completely agree with you. And I think that once we get to 1 million, 10 million is right around the corner. Once we get to 10 million, 100 million is right around the corner. This actually goes back to the post that you made yesterday on X Jor, the Venn diagram that you posted. I thought that was great, because it actually does make sense. It said big balls, but if you're a woman, it just means like you're able to sustain the volatility. You're able to go through it. You're able to make the decisions that you think are right. And that's absolutely 100% true. Bitcoiners do have big balls and big dreams. They want something that is going to give them what they want. They're willing to take the risk. They're willing to go through that volatility, but then they also want to end up with the right reward. If you don't take big risks, you're not going to get big rewards. After a while, if you put in the time, if you take the risk of studying Bitcoin, you start realizing that Bitcoin isn't risky at all. The risk is in not owning Bitcoin.
Yeah, I thought that was I saw somebody shared a
this is great too. That's awesome.
Yeah, I made a couple of. I like that catchphrase because it is. It's like you need to have big dreams, and the reason why I like the dreams thing is because I think in order to be a Bitcoiner, like a Bitcoiner, not somebody who owns Bitcoin, but a Bitcoiner, you have to have vision for the future. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. Nothing really makes sense. It's just something on the internet. There's miners, all this kind of stuff. But you need to have an understanding of what it is and a vision for the future. And I think that that's where the dreams part of this comes in, is because you can see that you're willing to delay gratification long enough that you can see this through. And the big balls part, as Rajat said, there is you have to take some risk, and you have to kind of tune out all the stuff, all the idiots out there who are telling you that this thing's a Ponzi, a scam, it's going to zero, and it's safer in the S&P 500. You have to tune that out because that's coming at you from all angles. And in order to get past that, you have to keep an open mind, and you have to be willing to take some risk and not listen to people and just trust your own gut and your own conviction with it.
So do you guys think that the Barstool Sports guys, do you think that they have, I think they have big dreams, but they don't have big balls? Because the reason why it takes balls to put money into Bitcoin is because you have to, like, for all three of us, we have a majority of our wealth in Bitcoin, right? They don't have the majority of their wealth in whatever bets they're making. Right? Like if you're betting on a team, you're not going to put the majority of your wealth on it because that would be really stupid. Yeah. Even with their Dogecoin bet, they probably don't have the majority of their wealth in Dogecoin, right? There's I think that they don't have, I think they have big dreams because they want to be somewhere. Like from listening to everything that, what's the guy's name? The main guy?
Portnoy.
So he definitely has big dreams. He wants a lot of Bitcoin, but he doesn't have the balls to buy it because he thinks that the price is going to go down. And this comes back to what Forrest was saying there. You have to hold for 4 years. If you don't hold for 4 years, you're just going to feel stupid, right? You're going to, if you, let's say you put your rent money in Bitcoin, that's the kind of thing that people would do, right? They would put their rent money into gambling.
Yep.
Right. And that's a relatively small portion of their net worth. If they lose that money, I mean, it's going to end up with a big negative result where they can't pay for rent and maybe they go homeless. But you would make a much better decision holding on to that money, putting in the time to study Bitcoin, and then putting as much of your wealth into Bitcoin as possible, any excess wealth that you have. And then it also takes big balls to actually create the value that needs to be put into Bitcoin, right? All of us, I quit my job. Jor, you quit your job. I think Forrest, did you quit your job as well?
Well, I have a business, but I've basically just let it do its thing. It's royalty based, so it just continues. Yeah, I basically left it. Yeah.
So for all of us, we could have continued doing what we were doing before, but we had the balls to actually put in the time to study Bitcoin, and then we start teaching other people about it. I think that's I'm not saying that we're better than everybody. I'm just saying that maybe we are actually.
Well, we have conviction. It's about conviction, right? Yeah. And I think, I don't know if they have, I don't know how it works with the, the big dreams and the big balls for these Barstool guys, but I think they definitely don't have conviction. And I think conviction just comes with understanding and like knowledge to some degree. And, they were propping up their buddy who was DCAing into Bitcoin, and it's right there, it's right there in their face, how obvious of a position that is, and how obvious it is to continue doing that into the future. But how many of those guys will actually switch up their actions and do that? Probably none of them. It's right there in front of people's faces, but people still don't get it. It's too simple. It's like, it's too obvious. I don't know. It's people just still miss it somehow.
Didn't Portnoy get like $500 million or something for Barstool Sports?
Yeah.
Oh, of Bitcoin?
In dollars. Like he got paid because he sold it.
Oh, yeah. There was some weird thing with that. He sold it and then rebought it for like a fraction of what it was crazy. Yeah.
So and he had Michael Saylor on his show after that happened. So how
he also, the other thing though is he has a conflict of interest. He's sponsored by Kraken. So the whole idea of that show is to trade.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of conflict of interest there.
But he should be doing both.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should. So do you guys think he probably has Bitcoin on the background and you don't think he has any at all? Damn.
Maybe some, but obviously not as much as like he would like to have every single time that this happens.
Maybe like 1%.
Yeah,
But that's
maybe.
that's the whole disconnect here, and that's what I was gonna kind of counter back with. Is that I think it's the opposite of what you said there, Jad. I think that they actually have big balls. They're willing to take big bets. They're doing this thing full time. The guys all in on Dogecoin. I think that these guys have the balls to pull this kind of thing off. I just don't think they have the vision for it. I don't think they have the dreams. I don't think that they can see where this whole thing is going. And I think that they understand what has happened so far and that they missed out on that, but they're not willing to say it's probably going to happen for the next 10 years. And maybe we should just buy some instead of be talking about it. So I think that they actually have the big balls part down, but they don't have the big dreams.
The opposite. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Either way, they're fumbling it.
Yeah. Either way, they're missing out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, should we wrap this up? This was just kind of a conversation we were having, and the record button happened to be on. So should we wrap this aspect up?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, if you guys have been enjoying this stuff, this is one of our Maple Bitcoin just random conversations we're going to start putting up. The QR code there beside Rajat's head if you want to support the channel here. We don't have any sponsors, and so that's the way to support our Maple Bitcoin treasury. So
over Lightning, if somebody wants to use that, they can send a payment over Lightning to that QR code.
Yeah, help us add to our reserve here.
Maybe we can call this the Maple Bitcoin cold starts because
Yeah,
it's cold in Canada.
Yeah,
right.
I like it.
Card.
I like it.
Everything. Awesome.
I love it. So there's if you're watching it on your phone and you can't scan that QR code, you can also send it to maplebitcoin@speed.app. And make sure you guys consider, if you haven't already joined, we got a lot of people in there already, but we do have a new school community where we do exclusive content on there. We do a Friday private Q&A. The first one's going to be on July 25th, where members can come out of the chat and actually speak to us, turn their video on. And if you have any burning questions or need some help with anything, it's the perfect way to do that. So we're going to have the link to our school community in the pinned comments below, and we hope to see you there. Thanks, fellas.
Amazing.